Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Jermaine Morgan TV. In today's episode, we're going to talk about what is my bass groove missing. So stay tuned. Alright guys, welcome back to another lesson, and before we get started, do me a huge favor and press that like and subscribe button. Be sure to comment if you find something helpful in this video, and also be sure to turn on my notifications so you don't miss anything I post. Also, you can catch me when I go live. I appreciate you guys for being here as usual. I'm in the key of F with this particular backing track that I'm playing, and I will link this backing track below so that you can practice and jam out to this as well. Okay, so as we dive into this backing track, I'll give you the progression before we get too far into this lesson. And so what the progression is with this particular backing track, we're playing 4, 3, 2 in the key of F major. Notice with the groove, every groove doesn't always start on the 1. That's pretty much a given, but if you're more on the beginner level, that might not be so obvious to you. So I just want to make note that you beginner players have to be aware. Just because it starts on a certain note, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's in that particular key. All right, so moving on with this particular lesson, fairly simple groove. We're going 4, 3, 2. We do that over and over again, and then we go 6 to 5, and that's pretty much the entire groove. So it's a fairly laid back groove. I'm going to play it again in context so you can hear everything, get a good feel for it. This time, if you want to play through with me, it's totally cool. Get your bass. Let's get ready to go. All right, here we go. That's it. We do the same thing again. Super simple, right? 6 to 5. Push on the 4. I said push on the 4, but I meant push on the F or push on the 1. All right, so as we dig into this, you'll notice when I was playing this at the beginning of the video, I was playing a lot more stuff than just that, 4, 3, 2. And so some of you guys were probably thrown off when I said that's all the groove is, because like, wait a minute. What was all that other stuff that you was playing? And lately I've been getting a lot of questions concerning groove. A lot more players are wanting to know more about how to groove, how to play around the groove. And that's actually really cool, because that's really the basis of this instrument, holding everything together as the band. But one of the things I share with more of my beginner students in the one-on-one lessons in terms of groove, when you're playing a bass line, if you start playing that bass line by yourself, the other band members, especially the drummer, should automatically know what their groove should be based on what you're playing. You should suggest to the rest of the band what the groove is just through your bass line. Now, does that mean you have to be really, really busy or playing a whole bunch of stuff? It doesn't. But when you play a certain bass line a certain way, it should kind of suggest what that groove should feel like. All right, so I'll play 2 examples of what I'm talking about. The basic groove is nothing. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the whole bass line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty empty, right? 2, 3, 4. The turn around. Now, I want to make a note of something before I get too far into this lesson. Now, if you're in a studio session and everything is already there, the foundation is already laid, you got a heavy grooving track, kind of like the backing track that I have going there, then you can get away with just doing that. So I just want to make mention of that. So there's a rule that we say in the studio that less is more, because you can kind of get away with doing a lot less. Like what I did just there was totally fine if we're talking studio. But a lot of times if we're talking live, as most of you guys will play in live settings, you have to be able to give a little bit more aggression. And with aggression, I don't mean being all over the bass and playing a whole bunch of riffs and licks and that kind of thing, but just being able to open up a little bit more and be more suggestive with what it is we're doing and where it is we're going as a player. So you might be asking, how do I do that? Well, the first way that you do that is simply by listening. I've talked about this on multiple lessons before, but simply listening to all the elements that are going on. We know already, we have the foundation and the meat and potatoes of the groove, as I like to call it. We know that's the foundation, but let's listen to this track and see how much more we can pull out of this track. All right, so first thing, dissecting this track, one of the first things that stand out, obviously, is that heavy drum groove. Is first of all, it kind of drags you back down in your seat with that head nod that you got going on. And the next thing that stands out to me as I listen to it is that like I'm listening to all these different elements, and with my bass line, and with any bass player for that matter, you just can't tune out everything and only focus on your bass line. You have to be able to be aware of all these other instruments, because those other things can suggest to you what you can play. Now, if you already know what that groove is, and just say if I've played this track before, which I have, I created this backing track, and if I've already played this track before, I kind of already know the elements that's happening in this track. So in most musical scenarios, when you already kind of know what the song should be doing, you can suggest certain things, meaning groove-wise. So if I have this groove, so I can start there just creating, even if I don't know how to kind of navigate too much around that fretboard, I can pull out, I know that's the one that they're playing. I don't necessarily have to ride on that one, but I can use the rhythm that they're playing for that one. So let's just do that and try to pull out that rhythm. With just that alone, we're pulling out one element that's going on in this track. And what I'm doing here is I'm playing a ghost note. I'm barely muting with my left hand. My finger is kind of barely grazing over that note. And with my right hand, I'm just kind of mimicking that rhythm that I'm hearing, trying to get as close to that rhythm as possible. It's like a slight swing that's on the rhythm. So one of the things you guys want to pay attention to is like the feel of the song, like that slight swing. I want to mimic whatever the feel of the particular song is before I get too far into everything else. I want to make sure I capture the feel of the song, because many times that's what's missing from your bass line, the actual feel of the song. So if I just add that rhythm along with the bass line, it changes everything. So So that changed the complete feel of the bass line with nothing else being there. That's suggesting to the drummer, if he were to drop the groove in right there, he'll know exactly what to play based on what I'm doing. And all I did was mimic what was already in the track. So you might say, man, that sounds really, really simple, but wait till we put it in context with everything and see how much different it sounds. Now, here's the disclaimer. All of those notes don't have to be played. You don't have to just sit there. I'm giving you right now the feel of what the groove is. Once we understand feel, we can add, we can take away, we can begin to add other notes over that feel. But the biggest thing is establishing the feel first. So once we have that feel under our hands, we can just kind of move on from there. Establishing the feel first is the number one thing that I want to leave with you guys today. And so I don't want to drag this particular lesson out too much, but if you want to dive a little deeper into talking about some of the other things that you might be missing in your bass line, I encourage you to become one of my monthly members, where there are already over 150 videos, resources to help you to continue to grow your bass playing. And I appreciate you guys for watching this. If this has been helpful to you, be sure to leave a comment below. And if not, I will see you guys on next week. Thank you for watching. I'm out. Peace.